The rule of three states, things that come in threes are inherently more appealing than those that don't. With the next generation GMC Sierra, Canyon, and Sierra Heavy Duty, we couldn't agree more. Whether you choose to have the world's first 6-function multi-pro tailgate available on the next generation 2019 GMC Sierra SLT, AT4, and Denali models, to confidently take on heavy loads with the available 6.6-liter V8 Duramax turbo diesel in the GMC Sierra Heavy Duty, or to get behind the wheel of the only mid-size premium pickup on the road, the GMC Canyon, you'll realize all three help you do one thing: go professional grade. Step up to GMC, and current eligible GM owners get 20% below MSRP on next generation 2019 GMC Sierra Double Cab and SLE Crew Cab models with a traditional tailgate. We are professional grade. GMC. Must be a current owner lessee of a 2005 model year or newer GM vehicle for at least 30 days prior to the new vehicle sale. Offer includes price reduction below MSRP and purchase allowance. Not available with special financing, lease, and some other offers. Take retail delivery by 9/30/19. See participating dealer for details.
Hi, this is Tony Ruggiero, the Dew Sweeper. You're about to listen to an episode of The Tour Coach, which is going to give you an inside look at coaching golf at the very highest level, from on the PGA Tour with my guys all the way to here at Mobile, Alabama in the Dew Sweeper Dome, as we help folks of all skill levels, all walks of life, learn to achieve their golfing goals.
We're sitting here last night at the PGA show with some great folks, and we'll introduce everybody. Wayne Flint to my left, Cordie Walker, co-host, Dr. Greg Cartin, GC3 on Twitter. I like to give him a shout out. He needs some followers. Luke Cordonine from Golf Magazine. Wade Hamilton, we call him the Ocho because he's number 8 in Alabama now. And hold on, Baden Schaff from Skillest, right? Mike Granato and Shaun Webb from Athletic Motion Golf. Everybody's seen them on, that's like where I look up shit when I'm stumped in a lesson. So I always tell people, like, something will happen on the swing catalyst and the guy will be like, hey, what happened there? I go, man, I got to take a piss. I'll be right back. And I go in there and I dial up Athletic Motion Golf, and I look at it and I come back and I go, well, hold on, here's what we're going to do for some extra speed. Y'all think I'm kidding. Wade does it too. Right? So anyway, so I thought with all the technology and all the stuff going, don't forget Easy. We got Easy back there. We may get him to chime in.
I think you mentioned me. I'm sitting right next to you.
Oh
no.
Debbie Doniger, Golf Magazine Top 100 teacher, and one of my favorite teachers in the entire world.
Thanks, Steve.
Absolutely. Hey, keep it real. That was good, yeah.
That was good.
Yeah. And everybody's surprised I've been married 4 times. So anyways, I thought we'd kind of go around here. We're not going to ramble on forever, but I thought we'd talk about what the biggest influences on each of our teaching have been, or Greg, obviously not teaching, but mental coaching and life coaching, as you've kind of assumed that role for me. But we just talk about those influences and talk about them, and I thought that'd be a pretty good topic. You guys good with that?
Good.
So
you kick it off.
All right, for me, it's hard to believe when you look at me, but the biggest influence for me has been the work that I've gotten to do with all our programs, whether they're at Frederica or Mobile or whatever, with Colby Touye on the fitness side, and not necessarily, but understanding how the body affects what it does, and really working with him with tour players and junior players and college players, and him giving exercises and different things that have enabled some of my players to do things that we were working on better. And so, like, I'll be honest, like, my upbringing with Wayne and huge influence, but Hank, I learned the things that I looked for in a golf swing, but I know 100% there were times coming up where I would work with somebody and they couldn't do it. Working with Colby has been a huge piece of my puzzle as far as helping. I think I've grown as a teacher, and I also think I've really grown in the ability to help all levels of players, but especially, some of my better players, been able to make them better.
Is there something that you can kind of point to, one thing specific that sticks out or keeps coming up?
I think I always assumed that really good players were just really good physically, just because they were good, right? And so I'll use Lucas as an example, but like working on him, getting to turn him into his right heel and his right hip to be able to hit a draw, and how he couldn't do that all the time because he wasn't what he was working on in the gym and the things he was doing, you know, he wasn't like, he looked plenty fit. Like he's a plenty fit guy, right? And like you'd look at him and you'd be like, man, that guy's in good shape. But then you'd watch it, but then they'd do stuff to him and he couldn't do some of the most the first thing I asked him to do, Colby said to me like, hey, have him stand on one leg, just his right leg, hold a club across his chest and just make a rear backswing pivot. And like he couldn't do it without wobbling and falling all over the place. I mean, this guy's, you know, what, top 100 player in the world. And so like I was like, well, shit, that's not good. I mean, I can do that. So, you know, so that was like, so that, you notice we're not giving Wade the microphone tonight. So anyways, so that's a good example though, right? Like, and I think we all assume that great players are good players, or even a guy or a girl that walks into our golf course and is in shape is like golf fit, like able physically to do some of the things or good enough at some of the things we ask them to do. What about you, Deb?
I like it.
Influences?
Yeah.
So I would say in the last, I'm going to give you 5 years because I branched out of my main mentor, McLean. So I would say Mike Adams. I've known him since I'm 17, but getting back with him and working with him on learning, sort of putting the puzzle pieces together, like what Tony was talking about. So just the physical structures, measuring. You know, there's, I guess, liberal openness within that. So it just gives me a framework that I wasn't really doing before. And then my relationship with Ben Shear, who's your Colby. Just the evaluations, learning what the body.
Like a northern Colby, they just.
Yeah, right. Like what the body. Yeah. No, he's from Jersey.
Oh, my bad.
It's like that's. I mean, they actually speak kind of similar language.
But it's just what the body literally, can and can't do. And like you said, I mean, I've taken D1 players there. There are certain things they can't do, and it could be mobility, stability, it could be strength, and then the sexier stuff, which is speed and power, which is so imperative at that level. So marrying the teaching aspect with the fitness aspect, to me, has also been insurmountable. But in terms of like a golf IQ standpoint, also how the muscles activate, not activate, you know, where are the dysfunctions coming from? And then, you know, if you have somebody who's really good and unique, why does that work? And what are you going to do in the gym to give them that little edge? And it may not be in the gym. It may be sleep. It may be tracking, you know, other things from a holistic point of view to make your players great. So probably Mike and Ben. Oh, and then you and I talk about it all the time. Like I just watched Bender 2 days ago, which was really cool, you know, just to communicate, the message a little bit differently. It's different stuff. You know, when you and I go and watch Butch, how simple to keep it. The work with Swing Cat, I think, has been incredible, right? Learning all those, to be able to measure the forces so we don't have to guess. The timing of them, which you guys look at all the time. How crucial is that? Yeah. Maybe not at the magnitude, but also the timing. And then let me think of some other teachers. They're great teachers, all on our list, like Gilchrist, awesome.
So Luke, but you see teaching from a different perspective. You see us idiots, right? And everybody texts you and emails you all the time, wanting time with you and stuff. But like over the last few years, as you've been involved in this, like, what are some things that you've seen that either changed your mind or influences or things you thought were cool, different, whatever?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I'm not a teacher. I don't want to be. I could butcher a swing if you really wanted me to, but...
You've had plenty of people come through the office and do that, I'm sure.
I got butchered a swing in my time,
Won't
Tony.
talk about them.
But, yeah, you know, I'm not a teacher. I'm a journalist. I'm a journalist who loves golf, and I have since I was really young. And honestly, when I think about...
And a great, really good player, so it's an interesting perspective.
I'm okay. But I think, honestly, like, the biggest influences on my sort of career that has now led to golf journalism have been the books I read growing up. I mean, Golf Digest was my first job out of grad school, and I grew up reading Golf Digest. It was amazing. Same with Golf Magazine, where I am now. I used to it was the Bible to me, those two magazines that I read sort of simultaneously, side by side. I absolutely loved them. You know, Tiger Woods' book, Faldo, A Swing for Life, Hogan's book. I remember when the Stack and Tilt Golf Digest cover story came out, my mind was absolutely blown by it. And it really is stuff like that that sort of sticks with me and is what drives me to make like Golf Magazine and Golf.com's instruction content so good. I'm not trying to do anything other than just help relay your guys' philosophy like as best I can, as clear as I can to the guy on the other end who's really just like me. He's he's 12 handicap or so, but just loves golf, and he's playing with his buddies tomorrow, and his goal is to beat them. And so my job is really just to connect your ideas with that guy or girl on the other end. And so when I think about how best to do it, I always go back to the books that I read growing up. And it's something I'd actually really love to hear from you guys. Like, what were some of those like texts that you read as you were really sort of forming your coaching philosophy?
Had to be Lessons from the Legends by the douche. I mean,
I have a signed copy of that.
Yeah. See, I can write too. Print. Greg, let's go to you, and then I'm gonna have another question a little bit too. I'm gonna phrase for Wayne and for Wade.
The best piece of advice I ever got was the first day I started my grad program. My advisor, who's still a very close friend of mine, said, everyone's going to want to get out of this program and help and save the world and solve everyone's problems. And she said, you're not going to learn how to do that here. You're going to learn how to listen. And that's what we learned through 12 years of grad school, was how to listen to people. And I think whether it's players that play at the highest level or it's 12 handicappers or it's whoever, people just want to be heard. They don't want to be told what to do. They don't want to be told how to think. They don't want to be told anything. They just want to be heard. Or women, right? So, and I think and that makes so much sense to me. And it's really difficult, but 95% of what I do is I don't let the cat out of the bag. It's just listening to what people have to say. And telling someone what to think or how to think is going to just cause them more pain and resistance and thinking that they're doing something wrong. So listening to what they have to say and validating what they have to say is really important. I learned that day one in my grad school program. So it's not as sexy as what everyone else is talking about, but it's really important. It's helped shape my work now. Still.
So Wade, I'm gonna go to Wade for a question. Yeah. So Wade, you and so we got different people with like you. We got you that's a shrink. We've got Shaun and Mike who obviously teach day to day, but have the best social media internet site out there for learning. You got Debbie that everybody teaches, right? But like you're at a club and you don't really teach outside members. And I think one of the things that's cool for you is because I've been up there and I've watched and I've taught alongside you and we've known each other for a long time. Some people don't think that's good, but no, we don't want to name them. but how like with members, like sometimes keeping it simple and making them have a good time and giving them one or two things to go to the golf course to play better is good for.
You have to.
For a member, like because sometimes everybody gets caught up in giving them all kinds of crazy shit. Right, but making your member at your club is important.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I have a different perspective. Being a club pro, I do tournaments and a bunch of other stuff, and teaching's part of it, and I enjoy doing it. But I'll be honest with you. Probably like a lot of club pros that are at this PGA show. I mean, they go out there and they're scared. And what they want to do is spew out information to prove that they know what they're talking about. And the smartest thing they can do, which I've learned watching you and Wayne and Woody and all the guys, is go back to the basics and try and help people play better. And by doing that, I mean, you can focus on their grip. You make sure they're pointed the right way. You work on their alignment. You work on their posture. I mean, basic stuff. Most club pros do a lot of different things, and the last thing they need to do is start talking about D-plane, which I don't know what that means, by the way. If y'all could tell me after this session, if y'all could explain that after this session, I'd appreciate it. But no, I mean, you can help 90% of the people, because like you said, they're mostly 6 to 15 handicappers and ladies who just want to figure out how to hit a bunker shot and get it out of the bunker. I mean, you put their hands on the club correctly, you get them pointed the right way, and you can help a lot of people. And at the end of the day, if you can help them enjoy the game, they play more. They don't give up the game and start playing pickleball or tennis. And I think too many times people overcomplicate things when they should just focus on fundamentals, because those don't change.
Wayne, that's awesome. That's a great perspective from a club pro. Wayne, what are your influences?
Being more of a little bit of an old school guy, I had all the VHS tapes and all that stuff when I first started. Now it's obviously come a lot further than that with computers and the TrackMans and the swing catalysts and all that kind of stuff. And the thing that I've noticed over the last, say, 5, 6, 8 years of my life that I've got a swing catalyst because Tony had one and we taught on it a bunch, and I saw the value in that. I was always a big footwork teacher. I thought it was really, really important when footwork wasn't cool. And I always thought it was pretty important. And then when I saw that thing, I said, man, I got to get one of those because it's validating what I've been saying for the last 10 years, or 20 years, whatever. And, to have the ability to see exactly what's happening with a person's feet and exactly what the pressure's doing against the ground and what their body's doing. And, I watch Mike and Shaun and I see all their stuff that they put out, and it's, all their research is fantastic. And
the Baden tips too.
And I mean, I watch that stuff, and it sometimes you find something you say, well, I'm probably wrong on that one, but a lot of times you find stuff that validates what you're doing, and when you're wrong, you need to admit you're wrong and say, hey, learn something from it and make your teaching better. And that's what I've tried to do. And I've used technology back to the pickle, Tony. I mean,
I love that.
I've always tried to have the best technology that I could afford to buy, and I think that's really, really important. And I think it's great to see the social media aspect of it where people can see that information. I think they can learn something about it. Hopefully they bring it to the teacher and say, what do you know about this? And the teacher should know something about that. He should be up to date, and he should know what he's talking about. If he doesn't, then they probably need to go find another teacher. They should know a little bit about what's going on against the ground. They should know a little bit about what a TrackMan does. Those kinds of things are important, and it's not going away. That's for sure, and it's not going to do anything but help people. Now, I still think there's a time and a place to put grips on the club, and I do that every day. I mean, there's not a lesson that I give that I don't.
I think more people need to be, beginning teachers need to be willing to jump in there and put a damn grip on there.
I don't think there's any doubt.
Instead of looking at wrist angles and a bunch of bullshit when they don't have a grip. You got so many people that read all that stuff, and they're worried about pressure, which is great, right? We all do with it. Or they're worried about wrist angles and worried about all this shit. And and the guy's grip screwed up. And the face has been like you said, start with the basics.
Tony, for what it's worth on that point, the most popular instruction content
be a
on
question I had for you
golf.com
later.
is about the grip.
Really?
Without fail. Is the thing that gets clicked on the most, is the stuff that gets reacted to the most.
I would be willing to bet too that if you had some kind of way to know what the average teacher that's starting out goes and teaches, I would bet you the grip is way down the list of things they focus, because they're all screwed up.
Absolutely. Well, you go first.
You've seen that change in the last.
Yeah, and then I want to get to what things that Baden has seen in Australia, because they're upside down over there, and it's got to be something different.
Yeah, we hold it this way.
So just to that point about starting with the grip, Mike and I like to talk about putting first things first, and we have a membership site with, over 1,000 members in there, and they're allowed to post their swing in the Facebook forum. So we are allowed to take a look at their swing, and we give them some feedback, and 9 times out of 10, they're worried about something on the downswing, and we send them back to the setup, right? We call it checkpoint 1, right? The checkpoint 1 for us is the setup and the grip. And once they get through that, then they're allowed to move forward.
So I have a question for you guys, because you guys do a lot of internet stuff. Yeah. So
she's taking over the podcast.
Sorry. And to Luke's point, one thing would be teachers might be, like you said, afraid to change a grip
Yeah, a lot of guys.
right? Because you don't want the student to get worse. Two, with
got to do it.
Right, with Mike Adams, there's some grip tests, which I thought was really cool to see, and I use them, like your right hand. Everybody knows different grips work for different matchups, but for you guys with internet lessons,
there's parameters your grip should be.
100%.
They shouldn't be like
so
this.
do you guys see the ball flight, or what do you work off of, given that you're seeing somebody, you can't measure them, how do you know, or what do you do in order to change a grip? I mean, how does that work over the internet?
So we get the starting point, like almost like an interview where you hit it on the face, what's the ball doing, and from there we have them send us a video of them putting their hands on the club. So we make an assessment from that. Is it too palmy in the left hand? Is the right hand too weak, too strong?
So they're very specific and send it to you.
Absolutely. If they don't, we make them send it again. If they don't, we make them send it again. And then from there, if that looks like something that's functional within our windows, we have them move on to the posture, set up, but we never move on to the swing until they get that right. And a lot of times, obviously, that improves the motion from there. So I think, we can't discount the grip and the setup, just like we've been saying.
Baden, what some influence things that happened down under?
Yeah. Thanks. So, for me, the biggest influence was my first lesson that I ever got, I only got 2 lessons off that coach ever, but absolutely, probably, I won't say he's the biggest because someone absolutely was the biggest, but as soon as I had that first golf lesson, I just turned to him and said, okay, I'm doing this for the rest of my life. And I pretty much at the age of, 16, 17 said, I don't ever want to play. I just want to get amazing at helping people and understanding cause and effect and also figuring out my own game and my own action as well. So I'd say the first coach was the most, second most influential. The most influential was someone that probably none of you know, because he's a very, very quiet and humble guy, but his players have won more than $80 million globally on tour, and his name's Gary Edwin. And Gary has taught Peter Lonard, Rod Pampling, Michael Campbell, Paul Gow. And this is like literally a very, very humble guy, super genius, who lived in on the Gold Coast in Queensland, never promoted anything, never did anything, literally just sat at this driving range and produced worldwide superstars everywhere. And he, after spending literally a week with him, I realised he was a genius, and pretty much every day since then I've worked with him, sort of thing. So, and that was almost 20 years ago, sort of thing. So, so he was the most influential. But what it's also done, I suppose, because he teaches the opposite of pretty much what's being taught at the moment, right? So, he's very minimalistic in what he believes, in what he sees. So he's all about cause and effect. He's all about setup, understanding sequence and what causes what, rather than, because I think the big danger in measuring things is that you don't know if you're actually measuring something that's going wrong, or are you measuring something that's right? So he's amazing at understanding cause and effect and seeing it before it's all happening. And so he's been amazing. But because he teaches so differently to everyone, it allowed me, and because we live on the other side of the planet, it also made me acutely aware that everyone teaches so differently from each other, which was sort of the genesis also for the platform we've created, which is Skillist, which is allowing everyone to teach their own way, and then hopefully students can find the person that teaches perfectly for them.
That's awesome. We're going to get back to Skillist in a minute.
Yeah.
Mike, your influence, tell us a little.
I would think probably the biggest.
I may write some of this down so I can use it in the bathroom next time.
Don't go to the bathroom.
Bathroom material.
I would say probably the biggest influence for us since we started AMG was the ability to measure and measure good players so we can get a feel for what they do right compared to, we always say if you see a good player or a good group of players that do X and the golfer that comes in every day is doing Y, it's probably something to pay attention to, like why they're doing it the complete opposite. And, the game has been taught really well for a long time, like way before any social media, internet, or anything, and golfers have been playing good for a long time. Now we can measure kind of that cause and effect of why that happens. And, I think we all try to get golfers to improve their miss. I think the technology improves our miss. Right? We don't guess near as much as we did before we were able to measure. And we can kind of hone in faster, and we know when we're going off course faster. So I think having that ability, that kind of backing of the technology to narrow our miss, and then being around such good-minded, experienced golfers like you guys, teachers, and then, you know, like Scott Hamilton's one of our big influences, and then be able to call Scott Hamilton, ask him a question, and David Toms the next question. You're getting pretty good information from both sides of the equation. And then you compare that with the data, and if we're halfway decent, we should be able to come to a fairly decent conclusion after that for the regular guy.
What is the most mind-blowing thing? I've been in golf my whole life. You have too, Shaun. I know you came in a little bit later, Mike. What's the most mind-blowing thing that Gears has taught you, shown you, that all of us at this table who've been teaching for a lot of years would be blown away by it? Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I would say for us, it's average golfers do a lot of the right things. They do them at completely different times. So I think when the right things happen or the good things happen compared to regular golfers, I think is probably one of the biggest things that we can teach golfers.
It's just hard to measure in video.
When they move away from the ball, when they move towards the ball, when they move away from the target towards the target is hugely important for the shape of the swing.
I've got one based on that.
Okay, go.
I don't think too many people understood that at the top of the swing, the pressure's moving already towards 50-50. For years, it was taught that you want to load everything up on the right foot at the top of the swing. It just doesn't work like that. So I know that, I'm sure you were taught to load everything up on the right foot at the top of the swing.
I was, yeah.
And we're seeing recentering happening as the club gets here. The body and the pressure both recentering back to the middle, and it wasn't taught. It just wasn't
because they didn't know. They just saw what it looked like on video. But kind of a point though.
Know.
Like, so I'm going to use Wade as an example. Like, you talked about technology, Wayne. I think one thing that's happening over the last year or two, too, is technology is getting cheaper for some things that you can do. So the club pro who doesn't have a teaching facility can go buy a launch monitor for $500 that gives you some information now, right? Like there's the opportunity, whereas like 5 years ago you had to spend $20,000 to get any information that was decent. Like, so I think that helps guys like Wade at a club where their range is smaller, so they're not going to build a teaching building, and he's out there teaching his members. Or like you at Highland, right? I mean, you can take out the swing catalyst balance plate and do stuff, whereas like the stuff's more portable. I think that's a big part of where it's access. And for you, Baden, like the ability now, like for people all around the world to have access to teachers or instruction from all over the world and find somebody that matches with them is huge. Yeah. I mean, I think everything's more accessible. Don't you think, Luke?
Yeah, I think so. Like it does. I feel like for the first time ever, and Baden, you can speak to this even better than I can. Like it doesn't, it doesn't matter where the teacher is like physically located, right? I think because of the internet and because of social media and because of the digitization of everything, it's really about the merit of your ideas that allows you to connect with golfers everywhere. You're really not confined to your neighborhood. And I think, representing the sort of golfer at home in this conversation, that's really exciting, right? You're not sort of confined by the system in many ways. You're confined by your ideas, which for an instructor's perspective must be incredibly exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I stole this from you. I saw an article you wrote on maybe Medium. It was a blog post, maybe. Right, yeah. I think you said that you've never given a bad online lesson. Was that you?
Yeah.
Okay, so that really resonated with me because someone sends me, and we call them, Mike and I call them eye lessons, right? Someone sends me a video for an eye lesson. We charge them $200 for that, right? And they expect a good golf lesson. And when I have time to process that information, look at it, take my time with what I'm going to tell that student, I'm not on the spot at the second to make a decision. The person in front of me, I've never given a bad online lesson. Yeah. And also to your point on that, I'm able to drip the information to the student instead of dumping it on them, because in that time frame of that eye lesson or online lesson, I'm gonna say, hey, here's a couple things, maybe one thing. Come back once you feel like you have it and send me another swing. I thought the article was beautifully written, and I use it all the time. So, yeah.
Thanks, I really appreciate it. And you can read my stuff on golf.com every single week these days. So. But I suppose this is the thing that we're learning about the online thing, which we could never have assumed or imagined, is that we think it can be a better way to learn. right? Because if you think about the current learning environment, I work in an academy, we've got 7 coaches there, like barking instructions. Someone walks in for a lesson, it's like, oh my God, this is so intimidating. They stand there and you've got an hour to consume everything you're getting told from that golf coach. And they also have a split-second decision to make the right decision on what they're going to do with you. So they might actually get half an hour in and be telling you the wrong thing, or they figure it out halfway through and go, oh my God, I should have done this completely the other way around.
It happens at minute 59.
Exactly right.
I mean, we've all been there.
But you've already started it. So, and then what the student can do is that not only can the coach then sit back and go, okay, this is the information I'm going to give them, the student has this great sense of self-discovery about it as well, where they do it over time and they go, okay, I think I've got something here, and then they upload some more stuff, and then the conversation continues, which is just, it's never been the way before. That's right, all right, I'll see you in 4 weeks, and you can use part of your package that you've booked in, and they forget to come back and life gets in the way and people just don't get better as a consequence. So, yeah, we think that we're hoping, and we think we're on the way to changing that. Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I was one of the. I've kind of gotten into it. I mean, I'm old school, and I mean,
You're just old.
If you listen to my, if you listen to like the shit I listen to in music, like, you know, I'm old school, right? I mean, there hadn't been a song out since like '88 that I listened to, right? But and I've gotten to know Shaun and Mike a good bit. And I thought, like, man, this online shit's crazy. Like, I really did. I was like, nobody's going, man, this is, right? Whatever. Okay. Yeah. They just bought a Mercedes. I'm driving a Pinto, right? You know? And so, but it's amazing how, but I think the ability to do that better has changed versus what it was when people started. I'm sure when you started Skillest, or, you know, from when people were starting to do online stuff, the ability to do it and do it in a quality that somebody could learn has changed a good deal too.
Yeah, Tony, to that point, like, I would challenge you to name me an industry that hasn't succeeded in becoming more convenient for the person at home. Right? It goes from biking outside to spin class to Peloton, right? Like, this is the way the world moves, and I think digital, and so that's kind of the way that gets me really excited from my perspective at golf.com and Golf Magazine, right? Like, we have the ability to help connect you guys with them at home in a really quick and easy and efficient and convenient way, whereas before it used to be such a burdensome process. So, I mean,
the best as well.
With the best, exactly.
And I think nowadays to be a great teacher, you have to be way more open-minded maybe than you used to be about change.
Yeah.
And about things that are different, like, you know, and I wasn't very good at it for a good period of time, and you know, I just used to think people that didn't do things the same way as me sucked, right? Now I realize there's lots of different ways to do things, and that, like, you have to be open to stuff like this. And you didn't, because the more you go down the road of it and you start seeing people having success, I mean, I think it's important.
You've also been good at sticking with what made you good also. You're not...
You're also totally selling yourself short too. Are you telling me when Lucas has a question about his golf swing, he's like, Lucas, you're going to have to come and see me in person right now. I'm not going to be able to.
Well, I mean, if it's after 6 o'clock, I don't like to answer my phone. But
you know, I think technology has allowed you to get your ideas across. I mean, you have a radio show, for goodness sake. I mean,
we have a pretty good podcast, Cordie.
You have a pretty good podcast too. So
my question to you guys then.
Cordie did a hell of a job selling it today, by the way, too, which I think is incredibly important for me because I've upgraded from the Pinto to the Chevelle.
Thanks, dude. So one thing that Tony and I talk about, and I think all you guys who have been teaching for,
that much.
I know, all right, that have been teaching for so long would be, I guess, what you guys are saying is the quality content is there. Find you guys, but do you sort of stay in your lane versus sifting through tips online that sometimes to me are erroneous or are not good for everybody?
I think there's a huge difference between tips online and real online coaching.
Right. So how do you guys, and you too, Luke, like, how do you get that golfer out of that space, because that tip's not going to help them. It's probably going to make them worse. I mean, I saw one, I won't mention who, but there was a tip about body motion that, no. I taught 30.
Some initials?
No.
E.
I taught 30.
E?
Nope. Golfers that absolutely, if they did that tip,
Give me a hint.
no, it's not going to work. Their bodies, no. Like, these golfers are not going to work. So
Male
what
or
do you
female?
guys, what do you guys say about that, especially as an editor?
Yeah, I mean, like, this is like the bane of my existence, right? Like, you guys are all, I'm surrounded by brilliant teachers on a daily basis who all have different
I'd use that
ideas
word brilliant
about how the
loosely.
same thing should be done. My job is to try to make sure, basically, I think about it in two ways, right? Like, my job is to make sure that all the ideas with merit get heard, A, and B, that the user at home understands like what this tip solves, if that makes sense. So if a guy with a really strong grip, right, who's counteracting that strong grip by swinging really inside and is hitting these combination of blocks and hard draws, like inevitably, right, like, are you saying that in the pages of Golf Magazine and on the site at golf.com, I'm not supposed to ever give a shallow tip again because the guy with a strong grip who's too shallow should never read anything that says he shouldn't get that, you know, that shallow is good? No, like, that's completely impossible to adjudicate from my perspective, right? What I want to make sure is that get shallow tip is heard, but also that get shallow tip, the person on the other end of it knows that, like, that's fixing a specific problem and that may not be your problem. Does that make sense?
One thing that I've noticed over the years, and this has been great for me, I didn't used to get on the internet and watch a lot of stuff. I mean, 10 years ago, I taught my stuff and I was committed to my stuff, and you know, the good thing about social media is it has made me get out there and watch all the stuff that everybody's doing. You guys, Shaun and Mike, and what you guys are doing. Yeah, Gigi. I mean, all these guys are out there. They're putting a bunch of stuff out, and I may not get it right off the bat because it might be different, you know, than something I learned 25 years ago. But don't think for 2 seconds that all our students aren't showing up on that lesson, T, and they're coming with some, you know, what's a good bit of money per hour, right? And they say, well, they've seen the same videos too, and they want to talk about it. So you better be able to know what's going on out there, and you. I mean, whether it's texting Gigi or calling you guys or whatever, you know, hey, if you have a question, reach out. I've done that, and Tony and I talk all the time. I mean, we talk all the time about what you're learning, what I'm learning, and we're always trying to get better at what we do, but don't think for a second that our students aren't doing the same thing. And it's our place to be able to put that in perspective for them, because that's what they're paying us for. They're paying us to learn how to play golf. They're paying us to learn how to swing at the golf ball better. They want everything, and they're paying a good amount of money for it. So it's our place to be able to put their program together, make it make sense for them. You know, maybe Gigi doesn't work for, you know, player A, but maybe Shaun does, and maybe Mike doesn't, you know, but we need to be able to help them, and we need to be able to move them forward, and so we can keep people playing the game, you know. So I think social media has been fantastic for that, because it's challenged me to get out there and get in the middle of it, you know, and that was something that early on I was like, I don't know about all that, you know, I don't even know how to do it, right? You know, I used to teach with, you know, dry erase markers on the TV screen, right? Now it's not that way anymore. That's not the way it goes. So, you know, that's my 2 cents for whatever that's worth.
But the bad part,
Growing up there, dude.
man, it's been so nice. It's been so nice to watch you grow. We hear. So, but like that's good. That's the good part. The bad part I don't like about social media is where the teachers don't sit and discuss. Like, there's been plenty of times I've called Shaun and asked a question, and I may have agreed or disagreed, and I listen or whatever, but like the shit that goes on where everybody bashes everybody and tells you that if you don't teach the same way or you don't teach the thing, I think is crazy. And I'll be honest, I'm going on skill. As soon as I get off this damn thing, after I have this last 7th vodka. I'm getting on Skillest, and I'm 100% for sure going to research this. So, but like, I mean, it's crazy how teachers seem, you know, it's like they can't sit and exchange ideas and just talk like this. And I say, you know, I teach a bunch of pivot, and I like a club that's kind of on plane, a face pretty square. I like lag. You know, I mean, I think I think you can't have too much lag, too big a dick, or too much money.
There you go.
Right? So, there we go. Right? I mean, I believe in that. Those are the 3 things I live by. Right? I live by that. You can't have too much lag, too big a dick, or too much money. I'll wrap this up. Cordie, everybody, Debbie, Shaun, Wade, awesome. Luke, thanks so much. I mean, I know you got tons of stuff going on. Baden, I really do want to learn more about your stuff, and maybe if before you go to Australia, or I don't know if they have technology over there, we could do something by phone.
We have telephones.
We can do some podcast. Yeah. And Shaun and Mike also for like all the stuff over the years. Like, I appreciate everything they do. They support the podcast. They support us. And Wayne, just thanks for hanging out with me still, because I'm embarrassing at times. Debbie, thanks for taking over this podcast. Hope that hope the hemp oil helps you. Doc, you're the best. Thanks for always kind of being an enlightening piece. Wade, the Ocho. All right, we're out.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
That was fun.
Thanks, guys.
I think that was good.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Tour Coach with Tony Ruggiero. If you enjoyed this, make sure to hit subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you are listening to this podcast. You can stay up to date because we have weekly episodes coming your way with fascinating people in the world of golf instruction at the highest level. Make sure to subscribe and stay tuned. If you want to learn more about Tony, head over to dosweepersgolf.com to get all the details on what he's up to. Maybe you want to see him, grab a lesson, or go to one of his camps, pick up his book, Lessons from the Legends. You can do that there. If you want to see Tony in action with some videos and other content, head over to golfsciencelab.com/Tony to get more info there. This episode was powered by the Golf Science Lab and was edited, mixed, and produced by Just Hit Publish Productions.
There's one thing, if you know about me, if you've listened to the Dew Sweepers, you've come to see me, listen to me talk, is you know I'm big on loyalty. We give 100% here at the Dew Sweepers. We put a lot of emotional investment into everything we do with every one of our players. And the same can be said for our partners and the folks that have been with us for the long haul and help the Dew Sweepers, help our juniors, help us get to our tour players. And so I want to give a special thanks to our sponsors. Our sponsors are first and foremost Buick and our local Buick dealers here around the Southeast, Shrixon Cleveland Golf, who've been with me for over a dozen years, and their belief and support of what we do here with the Dew Sweepers. And lastly, the folks at Vineyard Vines. The folks at Vineyard Vines love what we do with junior golf. They support us on the road. There isn't a better family or group of people that are going to help us look our best, play our best, and have more fun than the folks at Vineyard Vines. So special thanks to our sponsors. Please support those as you get the opportunity. And for more information about any of those, check us out at dewsweepersgolf.com, or you can always check me out on Instagram at the Dew Sweeper.